All right, with news that 2 monkeypox cases have been detected in Australia and a growing number of cases in Europe, should New Zealand be bracing for a potential outbreak here? To help answer that, we're joined by Otago University biochemistry professor Kurt Krauss. Kurt, good morning.
Kia ora, thanks for inviting me.
Right, the pictures look frightening. I'm just going to put it out there, Kurt, but can you give it to us straight? On a level of, drop your cereal, throw your coffee on the ground and run out of the house screaming and, we're going to be okay. This is just keep an eye on it. Where should we be on the scare factor?
I think we're going to be okay. I think we need to keep our eye on it. I think it's possible New Zealand could get 1 or 2 cases, but it's not likely to spread. It's nothing like coronavirus in terms of its infectiousness. I mean, it's a pox virus, so it's a relative of chickenpox, which all of us have either had chickenpox or have had the vaccination. But it's a closer relative to smallpox, which was that horrible disease that was eradicated in 1980 with the vaccine. So monkeypox can be serious, but generally speaking, the outbreaks that occur involve a few hundred people and they fizzle out because the virus isn't transmitted that readily from one person to another. If you have contact with somebody who's got pox lesions or contact with material that they've contaminated or respiratory secretions, that's how you get it. It's not transmitted by aerosol, for example, like coronavirus is.
So you would actually have to touch someone to get it, basically? Generally
speaking, you have to have direct contact with secretions or these lesions, or right up in their face.
And so if you touched one of these lesions, you would have to have a cut in your skin also for that to enter
like a break in the skin or something, right?
Right.
Or if you ended up, getting it on your mucous membranes, that sort of thing.
How deadly is it? Because smallpox had a fatality rate of like 30%, right?
Right. So it depends on the strain of monkeypox. There's one strain of monkeypox in Central Africa that's around Congo that's in the 5 to 10% case fatality range, whereas the West African one is 1% or less. It looks like the cases are the West African strain, so that would be in the lower group. But it's very different from coronavirus in that it's so much less transmissible. And it's also, once you get to the pox stage, it's quite apparent because you look at somebody, you can actually be quite covered in these lesions. So it's pretty dramatic. So people who have this will go into isolation and then generally don't transmit it to other people.
What causes the lesions? Like, what is that?
Oh, it's just part of, how pox viruses spread through the body. And they can cause pneumonia, they can cause lesions in the mouth, and then there's actual live virus in these pox lesions.
Oh. So, like, if you were to squeeze it or pop it, it'd be virus spitting out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, it's a lot like chickenpox. Remember when you used to have chickenpox, they would say, "Okay, now wait. You need to let these lesions scab over. Once they dry up and scab over, then you're no longer contagious." So monkeypox is a bit like that. People need to isolate the lesions. Take 2 to 3 weeks to scab over, then they dry up, and then you're not contagious. The difference is it's a little bit, some people can have more serious infections sometimes.
Right. Just so that we're clear on comparisons, what was the fatality rate for COVID?
So COVID's fatality rate is about 1/3 to 0.5%, depending on which strain. Omicron's a little bit less than that. Delta was about that rate.
Okay, so 1/3 to 0.5% for COVID. And then for this strain of monkeypox, you reckon about the same?
Very similar.
Okay, but as you said, nowhere near as contagious, which is the key.
Right. Yeah, in fact, generally, remember the R number, Ryan, where it was how many cases one person passes to somebody else, and the number for Omicron was sort of between 10 and 15. The R0 number for monkeypox has traditionally been less than 1. Right out of the bat. So generally speaking, someone who gets it doesn't give it to anybody else. And I think we need to get some more information. We want to get the whole genome sequence of this virus to make sure that it hasn't changed. But generally speaking, the standard monkeypox is dramatically less contagious than coronavirus.
All right. Kurt, thanks so much for your time this morning. Otago University biochemistry professor Kurt Krauss.